Hello, this is not my normal video. I don't really care to do these kinds of videos anymore, usually, but something is slowly hitting me, and I'm just gonna do this video once. I think Jordan Peterson has lost his way. Um, and I'm just gonna say now, his fairy tale interpretations kind of suck. Like he can try all he wants with what understanding he brings to the table, but it's not very good. Like there is some insight to be pulled here, but like you can just like listen to his talks the last couple of years and know exactly what he's going to say. It's the same droning. He would say more efficiently if he just read the stories aloud in his own voice and left it. Um, I think he's in a dark place right now, and I think it is his own doing. Um, I think that he is spiritually expended, and I use that word specifically because I think that before he became famous, he slowly built up a spiritual bank built off the backs of loving Christians, and he and built off the Bible as though it is a mythical text written by humans, which there is there is a level of that is true, but that's not even sufficient. Um, he thinks I'm almost certain that he's not a Christian. He can say all the right words, and he can make some really interesting um, impersonal gestures. He can make really interesting points, but it's all impersonal because he doesn't believe that there is a God. And there are several people who have walked through his ideas, so I'm not going to touch on that. Um, I'm going to say my own thoughts though. He is spent up, and he's battling an infection of some sort. I'm not going to say demonic, but I am going to say that he is spiritually inflamed because he went down the political, and he in the midst of the fight he got exhausted, and he can't see that his um tribal instincts are flaring up. He's picked the wrong people to have discussions with. He needs to, personally, what I think he needs to do is he needs to go quiet. He needs to quietly attend some sermons. He needs to go around to as many um, Christian churches. I'm using that loosely because I'm also going to include Catholic and Orthodox here, and just soak in the message. I don't mean that like in the woo woo spiritual kind of way. I think he needs to just sit and listen. He doesn't need to accept any of it at face value to start off with. Eventually that will come up if he does it for long enough, but I think he needs to sit and listen because he's finally wandered into the realm of God, and he is falling flat on his face. The realm of the mysterious yet awe-inspiring of storytelling and story interpretation. He can't compute that. Um, there are some stories that seem small that are massive, and he's not equipped. Um, the man that's been in his shadow that he he probably hasn't talked to Jonathan about this. Jonathan Pajot is probably who he needs to spend a lot of time with. He probably needs to go in quiet and just start listening. He should probably pay. I'm going to say pay because he is most definitely capitalist. He should probably pay for the courses and take 3 months and just sit down and really struggle with how Jonathan deals with storytelling. Yeah, I think he is a prodigal son at this rate. He's going to hit a wall at some point, and I don't want him to approach it like Job. I want him to approach it like the prodigal son. I have some verses here that I'm going to read, and I'm going to end with a small psalm that I think, by the way, I hope Jordan hears this message at some point from someone. I have no expectations of him hearing this from me or anyone. I just want to do this as beautifully, as simply as possible. So I'm going to start by reading the story of the rich young ruler, which is where I think he's at right now, from Matthew's account. Starting in Matthew, where is it? 16. And, you'll probably understand what's going on when I read this. My thought process. And someone came to him and said, "Teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may obtain eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why are you asking me about what is good? There is only one who is good. But if you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments." Then he said to him, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You shall not commit murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself." The young man said to him, "All these things I have kept, but what am I still lacking?" Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me." But when the young man heard this statement, he went away grieving, for he was one who owned much property. Jesus said to his disciples, "Truly I say to you, it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." I'm not necessarily saying that he should give up his possessions, but I'm going to go ahead and read the next verse in line to kind of explain my thought process here. I don't say he should, I'm not saying he should give up everything. What I am saying is he's missing something. He's a non-realist in a way. I'm going to jump back to Matthew 6:19. And then I'll also read 13:45. Okay, 6:19. I'll read some more after that. "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth or rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. The eye is the lamp of the body. So then, if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. Then the light that is in you is darkness. How great is the darkness! No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or he will devote one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." And then 1345. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls, and upon finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. I don't think Jordan Peterson holds God of great value. I think his best course of action is he has to finish out his contract with the Daily Wire. Like, that much, he's got himself into a mess. He's going to have to dig himself out in multiple ways. After that, quiet. Be still. I am starting to paint a picture there, but I'm using the stories because they speak a little bit better than everything I can say, and like that's where I'm coming from with all of this. He's literally walking into the realm of storytelling and interpretation, and he's missing something. So I'm gonna use some stories to help things along, and then I'm gonna sing a song. Well, song. It's actually a relatively common Protestant song, but I think it's actually a relatively common Christian song. It's called "Seek Ye First." It's modeled after Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. For right now, that's the end of my message to him, but I will give a little bit of background as to why I even care. Like, why do I care? You can't see it now, but this is one of my cross tie-dye shirts I got from my friend. I'll just be honest, Jordan Peterson saved my life when he... actually, what started it was I needed to find out more about myself, more about my father, more about the life that I used to understand that I just lost one day. So this was right after I got out of university. No, not right after. It would have been a year at least after I got out of university. I have a degree, remember? I eventually came to the conclusion that I don't have the connections I lost 4.5 years of my life, sort of. So I just started to find who I was. I found Jordan Peterson's psychology lectures. Jordan, if you're listening to this, thank you. You brought the Bible and the stories of my childhood into alignment, and you showed me the importance of finding the meaning in things. This isn't the right wording here, because I'm not good at this yet. I will say this though, he reopened me to the mind of God. And now, like, that sounds crazy coming from someone who is a the best way to describe him is a non-theist. He's not quite a Christian. I would not call him a Jew by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but what I will say is, those after the psychology lectures, it was the personality lectures that I got hooked on. Then I went and listened to his biblical series, his Genesis series. That reopened my approach to Christianity. I had been baptized in, what was it, 2015, and my faith in God was at an all-time low. I didn't even, I think, straight out of the gate, when I was baptized, I didn't even know what I believed. I just took my steps. I just did the things that was expected of me. Since then, I've had to go on a journey of isolation. It started out not by choice, but I continued it even after I had the opportunity to leave it. And of course, I've listened to him throughout. I don't agree with him often, and that's okay, but that is better. Just so we're clear, Christianity is not something that you can prove. It's a way. It is a walk. It is... Christ calls himself the way, the truth, the life. He is not here to speak to your logical part of the brain and prove that he is God. He is here to give you a pattern to walk by. And then once you understand it, when he gives the creative, mystical, before Abraham was, I am, using the language representing him as Jehovah, that becomes really self-evident. Once you understand the stories, once you understand the way, Christianity is a process of living. It's an ontological... It's not even a religion. It is a way. Most Protestants that I know don't understand this. Most Catholics aren't going to... no, they do have practices. They do have traditions. I came from a congregation and collection of churches that is so anti-tradition that they have no support for men. That, if a man can't find his way, they have no support. The elders aren't men of... they are faithful men, but they aren't traditional men. There's no process except a list of conditions they have to meet, and the church has to agree that they are suitable. But even that's kind of up in the air. We've burned through pastors before, and I mean to say preachers, and that's actually a big issue. Who leads the church? Is it the preacher? Is it the guy that gives up? He's literally the preacher. It's just someone that goes up and gives a sermon 2 times a week, maybe 3 if they need someone to fill in on Wednesday nights. The walls are white in the building, and there's stuff outside the building, but between the paint, it's only concrete. There's no spirit there. That's what I left. That isn't Christianity. And I think that silence would solve a lot of this. People would have to start facing what's really going on in the world, who they really are. I'll leave it at that. Jordan, you saved my life from the pits of despair. Get better.